In the glittering heart of New York City, where skyscrapers pierced the winter sky like frozen daggers, Isabella Harrington was a name synonymous with untouchable elegance. At 24, she was the only daughter of Victor Harrington, the ruthless tech mogul whose empire spanned continents. Victor's world was one of marble penthouses, private jets, and boardrooms where deals were sealed with the flick of a diamond-encrusted pen. Isabella, with her raven hair cascading like midnight silk and emerald eyes that sparkled like heirloom jewels, was his prized possession, pampered, polished, and perpetually poised on the edge of rebellion. But beneath the designer gowns and the facade of perfection, Isabella's heart ached with a quiet fury. Her mother had vanished into the ether of Victor's endless business trips when she was just a girl, leaving behind only echoes of laughter in empty hallways. Victor filled the void with lavish gifts, but never with time. "Success demands sacrifice, Bella," he'd say, his voice as cold as the January wind howling outside their Central Park West Tower. That night, as snow blanketed the city in a merciless white shroud, Isabella's sacrifice had reached its breaking point. It started with a gala, another glittering affair at the Metropolitan Museum, where champagne flowed like liquid gold and whispers of mergers buzzed like champagne bubbles. Victor paraded her before investors, her sapphire gown clinging like a second skin, but her smile cracked when he announced her engagement to Alexander Voss, a smug heir to a pharmaceutical fortune. "It's for the family, darling," Victor murmured, his grip on her arm ironclad. Alexander's eyes roamed her like she was another acquisition, and in that moment, Isabella saw her future, a gilded cage, forever shadowed by her father's ambition. "I won't," she whispered, yanking free. The room spun in a haze of gasps and clinking glasses as she stormed out, the heavy doors slamming like a final verdict. The storm outside was biblical, winds whipping snow into blinding veils, temperatures plummeting to bone-chilling lows. Isabella didn't care. She hailed a cab, but it skidded away, the driver shouting about closed roads. On foot she went, heels sinking into drifts, her thin coat no match for the gale. "Let me freeze," she thought bitterly. Let it all end in white. Blocks blurred into a frozen nightmare. Central Park loomed like a skeletal forest, its paths treacherous under the ice. Isabella's breath came in ragged gasps, her fingers' numb claws clutching her phone. Dead, of course, battery drained in the cold. She stumbled into a thicket near the reservoir, the world narrowing to a pinpoint of pain. Her legs buckled, and she collapsed against a gnarled oak, shivers racking her body like sobs. The snow claimed her like a lover's embrace, soft and suffocating. Visions flickered, her mother's warm hugs, Victor's distant gaze, Alexander's leer. "Is this freedom?" she murmured, eyelids heavy as lead. In the underbelly of the city, where the elite's discarded dreams festered, Elias Thorne scraped by on the fringes. Once a promising surgeon at Mount Sinai, Elias had been the golden boy, hand steady as a poet's pen, saving lives in the ER with a quiet grace that earned him quiet adoration. But 5 years ago, a single night shattered it all. A drunk driver, a mangled family, and Elias's scalpel that slipped, just once, in the chaos of an understaffed shift. The father survived, but the young son didn't. The headlines screamed negligence. Lawsuits buried him. Miracle maker to murderer, they called him. Disbarred, disgraced, Elias became a ghost haunting the shelters and subways, his once crisp scrubs traded for threadbare wool. The city despised him, a pariah who begged for scraps, his grey eyes hollow with unspoken grief. "Stay away from that bum," cabbies would warn. "He'll curse your luck." That night, Elias huddled in the park shadow, his battered backpack a pillow against the wind. He'd seen the rich kids stumble in before, seeking thrills in the wilds, but this figure was different. A flash of sapphire against white caught his eye, a crumpled form half buried in the drift. Heart pounding, he pushed through the storm, knees protesting old injuries. "Miss? Hey, can you hear me?" Isabella stirred, her lips blue-tinged whispers. "Go away." But her eyes, those emerald flames, locked on his, pleading despite her pride. Elias didn't hesitate. Kneeling, he shrugged off his coat, a threadbare relic warmer than her finery, and draped it over her. "Not tonight, love. Not on my watch." His voice was gravel wrapped in velvet, steady as the hands that once mended the broken. He assessed her quickly, hypothermia setting in, pulse faint, core temperature plummeting. No time for niceties. Scooping her into his arms, light as a fallen leaf, he trudged toward the boathouse, a forgotten relic boarded up but for a loose plank he discovered months ago. Inside, away from the wind's howl, he laid her on his makeshift bed of newspapers and wool blankets scavenged from dumpsters. "Stay with me," he urged, rubbing her limbs vigorously, his callous palms igniting sparks of warmth. He rummaged in his pack for the thermos of weak tea he'd brewed earlier, herbal, laced with honey from a church pantry. Sip this. Small sips. Isabella coughed, the liquid burning life back into her veins. Her gaze sharpened, taking him in, the salt and pepper stubble, the faded tattoo of a caduceus peeking from his sleeve, the scars on his knuckles from nights of quiet despair. "Who are you?" she rasped, teeth chattering. "Elias," he said simply, building a small fire in a rusted can, twigs and lint as fuel. "And you're half frozen, princess. What's a girl like you doing out here, chasing storms?" The word princess stung, but his tone held no mockery, only a weary kinship. As warmth crept in, Isabella's walls cracked. Words tumbled out. The gala, the engagement, her father's iron rule. "He thinks he owns me. Like everything else." Tears froze on her lashes. "I just wanted to feel something real." Elias nodded, shadows dancing across his face from the fire's glow. "Real hurts, but it's the only thing worth chasing." He paused, feeding another twig to the flames. "I know about cages. Mine was a white coat once. Save hundreds, but one slip." His voice trailed, eyes distant. "A boy, 8 years old. My hands shook that night. The jury called it negligence. The world called me a monster. But I see his face every storm, wondering if I could have held steadier." Isabella's hand, thawing now, reached for his. They were wrong. "You're no monster." In his eyes, she saw not defeat, but a quiet forge of resilience, the kind her father's billions could never buy. Dawn broke with a hesitant mercy, the storm relenting to pale sunlight filtering through cracks. Elias helped her to her feet, her sapphire gown muddied but her spirit mended. "I can't go back the same," she said, fierce. "Not without fighting." He smiled faintly, the first crack in his armor. "Then fight, Isabella. For the ones who can't." She pressed her mother's antique locket into his palm, a sapphire to match her eyes. "For luck. And thank you." Word of the miracle in the park spread like wildfire through the tabloids. Victor Harrington, frantic with rare paternal fear, mobilized helicopters and hounds. When Isabella emerged, not broken but blazing, she faced him in the penthouse, Elias's coat still draped over her shoulders like a banner. "No wedding, father. No deals on my life." The room fell silent as she revealed Elias's story, the surgeon wronged, the man who thawed her frozen heart. Victor's empire trembled. Investors whispered of scandals, but Isabella didn't care. She demanded justice, a reinvestigation, pro bono lawyers from the family firm. Months later, as cherry blossoms defied the spring chill, Elias Thorne stood cleared, vindicated by overlooked evidence, his license restored. But he didn't return to the Orse glare. Instead, with Isabella's quiet funding, he opened the Thornhaven Clinic in the Bowery. Free care for the forgotten, a beacon in the shadows. Isabella visited often, her hand now entwined with his in the garden behind the clinic. Victor watched from afar, humbled, learning the weight of warmth over wealth. "You saved me twice," she'd whisper to Elias on those stolen evenings, snowflakes dusting their lashes once more. "In the cold," he'd reply, pulling her close. "We all need someone to believe we are more than our scars." And in the city's endless rhythm, two souls, once despised, once adrift, wove a tapestry of redemption, thread by fragile thread, proving that the greatest fortunes are forged not in boardrooms, but in the quiet heroism of a single, shivering night. Thank you for watching this story till the end. Sparkles. If it touched your heart, please support us. Thumbs up sign, give it a like. Speech balloon, share your thoughts in the comments. Bell, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. Your support helps us create more stories that inspire and make you believe in miracles. Your participation means a lot to us. Heavy Blackheart #.